Even though the Red Planet is known for its blockbuster films, myths, legends, and many groundbreaking news and discoveries, we generally have an idea of what Mars is. But the planet's surface holds much more information and secrets than we expected. Being the fourth terrestrial planet in our solar system and named after the Roman god of war, Mars is 344,185,236 kilometers from Earth and 130,933,500 kilometers away from the Sun. With an orbit of 288 billion kilometers and at an eccentricity of 149,597,871 kilometers. The red planet's aphelion sits at 1 66 millionth light years, while its perihelion is at 1 3,814 10,000th light years. Mars orbits around the Sun in 687 days and travels 24 kilometers per hour. The size of the red planet is 2 times smaller than Earth's, as its radius sits at a 3,389,127 hundredths kilometers. Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system after Mercury. Despite its distance from the Sun, Mars's average temperatures reach a staggering negative 60 degrees to negative 62 degrees Celsius. Near the polar caps, temperatures vary from negative 125 degrees to negative 195 degrees Celsius. At the equator, it is nice and comfortable at 20 degrees Celsius, but can plummet down to negative 70 degrees Celsius at night. Unlike the red planet's frigid temperatures, it also shares many similar characteristics to Earth, but few are unique. Like Earth, Mars also has carbonate rocks, and most of the carbon dioxide is used to form them. Unlike Earth, Mars lacks active plate tectonics. There is no evidence of the horizontal motion of the surface, like the mountains on Earth. The crust of Mars stays at a fixed position relative to the surface. Because of this, the red planet cannot recycle carbon dioxide into its atmosphere and cannot sustain a significant greenhouse effect. It also explains why Mars is much colder than Earth. Other than carbonate rocks, the surface of Mars also consists of basalt and is covered by a fine layer of iron oxide, which many of us are familiar with the term rust. The iron oxide has the same consistency as talcum powder, a mineral used in baby powders and feminine hygiene products. The iron oxide gives the red planet its reddish-orangish hue. The Martian soil also contains many toxic compounds, which will be covered later. Like Earth, Mars also has a magnetic field. Not a global, but weak magnetic fields exist in various regions of Mars. They may be remains of an earlier magnetic field that has disappeared, which may have important implications for the surface structure and the structure of Mars' interior, including its history, atmosphere, and possibly ancient life. Because of Mars' weak magnetic fields, its gravity is 3 times weaker compared to Earth, and also explains why Mars has tall volcanic mountains. The tallest volcano on Mars is Olympus Mons and sits at 24 kilometers high. Unlike Earth's atmosphere, the Martian atmosphere is made of an estimated 95% of carbon dioxide, 3% of nitrogen, 2% of argon, and 0.13% of oxygen. Methane gas is also present on Mars, and most of it resides on the Martian soil. Water is also found in the red planet's atmosphere. But since Mars has a thin atmosphere, the water is frozen into ice and found on the polar surfaces of the planet. Like Earth, Mars also has dust storms, and dust is a critical component of the Martian atmosphere. It influences the atmosphere's circulation by heating or cooling, then redistributed around the planet by wind. Due to the amount of iron oxide dust and weak magnetic fields, these dust storms can last for months. Mars also has moons, in fact, two irregular-shaped moons, Phobos and Deimos. Astronomer Asaph Hall discovered Deimos on an August night in 1877, and many days after, Hall discovered Phobos. He named these two moons after the mythological sons of Ares, and they mean fear and dread. Unlike Earth's moon orbit, Phobos orbits around Mars 3 times a day, and spiraling inwards at the red planet every 1.8 meters, and is at 6,000 kilometers above the Martian surface. 50 million years in the future, Phobos will either crash into Mars or break up to form a ring due to Mars's gravity. Deimos, on the other hand, is more distant, and it takes 30 hours for it to orbit around the red planet. Like Earth's moon, Phobos and Deimos always point the same face at Mars, and both are heavily cratered and covered in dust and loose rocks. Both are also composed of carbonate rocks mixed with ice. In 1971, NASA's Mariner 9 spacecraft got a better view of those two Martian moons, and Phobos and Deimos are the smallest natural satellites in the solar system. It is unknown when the red planet was first discovered, but in 1659, astronomer Christian Huygens discovered a strange feature on Mars. It was later called the Citrus Major. In 1877, another astronomer, Giovanni Schiaparelli, discovered what he called water canals. He also mapped and named the Martian seas and continents, which are the light and dark features of Mars. Later in 1894, Percival Lowell made his observation from a private observatory, which then became the Lowell Observatory. Lowell decided that the canals were real, and he mapped hundreds of them. He also believed that the straight lines were artificial canals created by the Martians to carry water from the polar caps to the equatorial regions. Later in 1895, Lowell published his first book on Mars with many illustrations, including the canals. Later during the 1960s, many scientists and researchers around the world performed many Mars missions and explorations using rovers and other scientific instruments to learn about the red planet's formation and look for signs of ancient life. NASA's Mars Science Laboratory, Curiosity, and the Mars 2020 rover and rotorcraft, Perseverance and Ingenuity, are a few of the Mars missions currently searching for signs of life on Mars and when the humans might inhabit the Martian terrain. Even if Mars is known through blockbuster movies, countless stories, legends, and everything else in between, we know what the planet holds beyond means of fantasy. From the rugged terrain to the harsh temperatures, we have made many groundbreaking discoveries through observations all the way to performing missions on the Martian soil, and there is still more to come. And who knows that someday in the future, we humans might settle on the red planet.